Hi friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rainboots. We're going to be making a cute little ornament today, and I'm going to be using the Vista from WeCreat. Now I'm going to speak quickly, go to your playback settings and slow it down via that if I'm walking through this too fast. I do recommend the Vista. There's a whole lot of options for you. I have the equivalent of a deluxe pack basically, but if you want to get everything, including, the rotary and the IR, just look at the 2 or 3 different options we have aside from just the base laser. If you only want to do tumblers, that would be the rotary pack. So there's a lot of options. Again, I'll put the links down below. So I'm going to create a new file here, and I'm going to be changing very large file down to a small file. There are multiple ways we can get items into the WeCreat MakeIt software. My favorite is drag and drop, but you can also come to File and Import, or File, which is Create a New Canvas. You can do that too. So you can see when this comes in, this is way too big. And that's okay. We're just going to come up here over to the zoom and hit either auto fit, or you can zoom out, whatever it is. And now I'm going to make sure everything is selected. See, there's going to be some small pieces in here, but everything is selected. You can hit Command or Control A and then come down to the transform control and just size it down. Now, once you get it back onto your canvas, you can hit that zoom and go to auto fit, and then you can start really sizing it for your project. You can see now we can see our whole entire canvas. We can zoom in, we can measure each of these individual pieces, and I'm going to be talking about things like this that we're just going to delete and things we can change. So again, this is what I'm working with. This is an amazingly awesome design, but I don't want it as a door sign. I want it really small and put it on an ornament. That does mean we're going to change some stuff. So I want my ornament to be about 4 inches. So I'm going to select everything, size it down, and then just select the circles to get an idea if that's a good size, and it is. So now I'm going to zoom in a bit, and what you can see is there's going to be some really small pieces if we make this part here only 4 inches. So what we're going to do is we're going to prep our file, and then we're going to start deleting some stuff. So to prep it, I'm going to show you 2 ways to create an ornament backing. The first is just copy and paste the original circle, create a smaller circle, and again, you can either use the transform controls or you can create the size I'm creating up here, which is 0.75 of an inch. I'm going to center those 2, but you can center them until this little orange line appears, or you can select them both and go up to the align menu. You'll see me do between the 2 of those every other time I'll swap. But what we would need to do is this right here is the first of 2 circles. So I'm just going to copy and paste it and make the second one a bit smaller. Now here's the size thing just in general to note. You don't care about this piece. What you care about is the distance that you have in between the 2 circles. So if we highlight everything and we make sure it's center, we can actually see that this is going to be a very, very small thin join, and we want something a little thicker. So I'm going to make my inside circle 0.35. Then I'm going to center everything, but just select the top 2 small circles and center them vertically. Now I need to cut out that little one, so I'm going to hit subtract. And if you're ever wondering what it looks like, just go to engrave, and you can see there's a circle in the middle. You can see the back of the ornament through it. That's what we want. Now we're just going to position that up a little bit, and I'm just going to use the arrows because I want this little piece to be a nice little traditional ornament style. So once I have it in place, I'm actually going to copy another one so I can show you the different ornament. But once I have it in place, I'm going to select everything. You can align it back to center, but I'm just going to hit merge and look. See that? And again, you can hit engrave so you can see what it would look like when it cuts. Just FYI. For the second one, I'm just going to create that same inner circle size, which was 0.35 of an inch, and I'm just going to assign it to be centered horizontally. So I come up here, center horizontally, and for the height away from the edge, I'm going to just make a little rectangle, and that rectangle is going to give me an idea of how wide I need a space in between there. And the idea is generally you'll want a good little 1/4 of an inch or so that it doesn't break off. So I'm going to get it into place, remove my rectangle, and now I can just select these two, go up to merge, hit subtract, and again, if we change it to fill engrave, you can see this would be our cut, right? So we can change everything to cut right now or later, just depending. But now that we have our base piece over here, I'm actually going to create a separate canvas. So I'm going to call this first canvas original. And this means that I have removed nothing. I've only added to it and adjusted the size. I'm going to create a new one called working and a third one called test and notes. Now I do this so I can put all of my settings, the materials, where I get the materials, how many sales this thing had, all of that goes into this file so that next year I can just bring it up and pull up all my information. Now I'm going to save the files. So just FYI, the files don't save on their own. So you want to go ahead, find your location, save your file, naming it whatever nomenclature you use. And now we can go to the original. We can select A or Command A, select all, and go to working and paste it in. Now then we can start messing with this all we want because our original is safe and sound in that first canvas. So I think you can just choose whichever one of these you want. I'll move back and forth. But you see teeny tiny pieces like these that are maybe 2/10 of an inch. We're not going to use those. So I'm going to actually, on the working file, I can come in here and delete them, right? Because I know I'm not going to need them. Okay. I'm going to zoom in so we can see the pieces a little bit better. So this right here, you can see that is what? 3.5 of an inch. And then we've got teeny tiny pieces here. If you think in millimeters, by the way, you go up to the file software settings and then you'll be able to adjust it. Now you always want to look and see if you're unsure of something. Switch it to engrave. See how that has a little cutout? That is minuscule and it will burn. So what I want to do is remove that cutout by adding a shape on top of it. So I'm going to make a circle and just combine those. I merge them together. You see how easy that is? So I'm going to look at this file and I'm going to see, you know, those ears are going to be pretty small. The eyes are too small. So I'm going to get rid of the ear pieces that would fit in like kerf, or calculate kerf and then fit those in. And then I'm just going to add some circles on top to remove all this stuff in here on the little face. I'm going to add it with paint. Those are too small. I'll just tell you, the snowflake is going to be too small for this 10 watt as well. I think it's maybe a 1/2 inch or just over. So you can choose to try it or not, but I'm not. I'll put it on the or I'll put it on the thing and show you. But I'll just say, I think it's going to burn. Now, the last thing I want you to think about when you're sizing something down are little pieces like this. If they're not going to add to the look of the file, again, you're going to keep the original open so you can see, get rid of them. This one, I think it would be fine. Let me just make a little rectangle over here to see about the size. I'm just going to make it about the same size height. I think it'll be fine. It's going to cut it out. I'm going to mask my material. This over here, I think it'll be fine. We need that definition. So let me just zoom out or auto fit and then choose one of the circles that I'm going to use. Now, everything in here, again, we go back, we look at it, we're saying, I think we've got our file size down correctly for all of our pieces. And coming back into working, I'm going to go ahead and choose my material. Wood, basswood. Now I'm going to be using masked 3mm basswood, so I'm actually going to be doing 2 passes. So in addition to the basic settings that are in there, loaded by WeCreat for this, which work for mine, I'm actually going to change the passes to 2 once I get everything over here adjusted. So again, those are the defaults. I'm going to change this to 2, and then you can see there's my masked material. You just roll this on, brayer it down with your hands or a card. Now you're going to put the material in the machine so that that red dot, you can see when I put my hand on it, see that red dot? We want that over the material right there. Now I'm going to come over here to scroll up and you're going to go to auto measure. You can hit refresh, but that's not going to enter our distance or our thickness of material. So what we want to do is we can just move it over, right? Doesn't matter. But before you actually finalize where everything is, you have to hit the auto measure. So I know that some people have made this mistake, so I just want to get you in the habit of don't hit refresh, hit auto measure first. Once that puts that in there, you can hit refresh and make sure everything is there. It'll automatically refresh, but if you move that material, you want to hit refresh again. All right, so once that's all in there, I'm taking, when the auto measure is working, it's taking a picture of the thing. And so your machine, the lid open, will go dark for a second and then bright again. Okay. So we want to make sure everything that we don't need is just ignored for processing. So I'm going to select like this piece over here, ignore for processing. If you see a negative, that means the snowflake is ignored, but the rest of it's processing. So you have a mixed component there. It's fine. The machine will ignore what you tell it to ignore. Now I'm going to close my lid. I'm going to hit start. Now you can frame it. Now mine's a little wonky, so I'm going to skip the framing. I'm going to go ahead over here to the right and just hit send. This sends the software signal to the machine, and then we can push start on the machine and it will actually begin working. And this is real time. And you can speed it up with the power of editing. But I want to tell you, if you want to check and see if your settings were valid with the piece of wood, so you've already tested your settings, you can always pause it after the laser head is moved to the next item and then open it, make sure it's working, and then resume it. So I'm going to open it up. In the system, you'll see it says complete here. So you just hit the purple complete button and then go ahead and resave your file. Okay, so we are going to need some clamps in addition to your paint and some glues. I'm also going to be using this off camera. It's just a spray sealant to lock everything in. And the first thing I'm going to do is wipe all of the edges. I do recommend this. Some of my cuts are perfect. Some of them will have some soot. It just depends. Just get in the habit of wiping everything down before you remove any masking, because you can see, look at my hands. Then I'm just going to use a little pick, or you can use Gorilla Tape to pick up the masking, and you get this beautiful no soot, no char canvas sort of thing to work with. Once I have all my pieces, I separate them out by color, and then I'm just going to use a little bit of foam or a little bit of acrylic paint or chalk paint on a foam brush. I do, put the teeny tiny pieces onto masking tape so I don't have to move those around. Once that's dry, you can see the back. See how just that little tiny little char on the bottom down here? I'm going to take that outside and give that a sand, and now it looks good. So that's the back and that's the front. Okay, so once everything is dry, I'm going to be using a combination of wood glue and super glue, only because I'm lazy and I'm making multiples. This suede cord is amazing for ornaments. I will put a link down below, and then I'm just going to be using little cutoffs of a piece of ribbon for this. I would recommend you have what is called a stabilizing piece or a template piece. I'm going to be using the little head of the reindeer. Now I'm just going to clamp this down into place so that I can pop the antlers and the little muzzle all on without worrying about the actual placement. And again, that's not glued down, but I'm just going to brush on some wood glue, tap little teeny tiny taps of super glue, and then always have a paper towel or a foam swab handy in case you get glue else, out from under the piece. All right, so just pop it on. And you can see sometimes I use the cardboard to protect the paint, but I didn't on all of these. I don't know why I had it. All right, so now you can see I can go ahead and slip on my antlers. If you need to, just move your clamp off to the side. But again, little wood glue, a little super glue, and it's pretty easy to pop on. Easy peasy. And you see that little bit of glue on the edge, on the outside edge. I'll just wipe that off and then clamp it down. And then I did this a whole bunch of other times. And then when it's time for you to put in the headpiece, everything else is already in place. So you'll just do the same thing. Little wood glue, little super glue, pop it in place. And then this is going to go on top. So do that again. I used Posca, P-O-S-C-A paint pens. I think they're the best to add some details for the eyes. Now to place it on here, I don't have anything above it, so I'm going to put the ribbon there, but I'm going to turn it over and just mark a little pencil line on each of the overhangs so that I can be sure that I put it in the right place after gluing it, and I don't put any glue on those overhang pieces. And so you see, I'll just turn it around and check. And now I'm just making sure there's no glue that seeped out anywhere. I'm going to clamp that in place and then set it to dry. Once it has dried, I'm going to remove the clamps, and then I spray the entire thing with a spray sealant. Again, it's this one. This is my favorite one. It's matte and it's UV resistant. So make your heart happy with whatever you want. I cut a piece of this suede cording, which I love, and I'm going to show you. I got asked about how I do the bows. So I just split it in half, put the looped end through the front, put the ribbon down, and then thread the ends through that loop. When you do that, it'll lock in the ribbon. So I'm just going to pull the ribbon down over here. And then I've just put a piece of tape on them, thread on a wood bead, and then tie off the ends and cut the rest off before I trim up the ribbons. Now I did leave some spots for a little, a few little sprigs, but I didn't like them. What do you think? Do you like this? I appreciate you watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Just leave them down below. You can do this with any laser. If you have questions about laser, ask those down below as well. I appreciate you being here. Please like, share, and subscribe for more craft